Most people do not need more confidence. They need a better way to enter the room. I know the feeling of standing in a group and watching the conversation move without you. You are smiling at the right times. You are nodding. You are waiting for a clean opening that never comes. Your mind starts racing. What can I say that is interesting? What can I say that does not sound desperate? What if I talk and it lands flat? Then you go quiet. Not because you have nothing, but because you do not want to risk being seen reaching. That is why storytelling, not because it makes you entertaining, because it gives people a safe bridge into you. It turns you from a set of facts into a person with a texture. And it does something even bigger. It relaxes the room. When you tell a story well, you are telling everyone, I know where this is going. You can follow me. You not have to work so hard. I used to think charisma was a volume thing. Like some people just walk in louder, brighter, faster. But the most charismatic people I have met did not feel loud. They felt clear. I could feel their attention on me, not their anxiety about themselves. Storytelling is one of the simplest ways to get there because it puts your attention on a moment, not on your self-image. Picture a work meeting at the end of the day. The air is dry from the vents. Laptops are open. Half the team is already mentally at dinner. Someone asks for updates and the room fills with status reports that sound like receipts. Numbers, timelines, blockers. Important, but dead. You can feel people drifting. Then one person shares a short moment from earlier that week. The part where they thought the client wanted one thing, then they noticed a small detail in the email that changed everything. Suddenly, the room wakes up. Not because the story was dramatic, because it had a human problem inside it. Confusion, risk, a choice, a consequence. Everyone in the room knows that feeling. Now they are with you. Charisma is often just good emotional pacing. You lead people through a feeling they recognize, then you land somewhere useful. The mistake most people make is they try to impress with outcomes. They tell stories like a resume. I did this. I achieved that. Everyone clapped in their minds. That kind of story makes people compare. It makes them protect their status. Even if they smile, a part of them stiffens. The stories that build charisma do the opposite. They lower the threat level. They show your humanity without making it messy. They show that you can be competent and still be real. That combination makes people trust you, and trust is the core of charisma. I remember being at a small dinner with friends of friends. Low light, clinking glasses, the hum of a playlist that nobody could name. Everyone was polite. The conversation kept resetting to safe topics. Work, travel, the usual. I could feel my own body doing that thing where I sit a little too straight. My smile starts feeling like a mask. Then somebody shared a simple story about getting lost on the way there. Not a dramatic lost, just the kind where your phone dies at the worst time, and you pretend you are fine while your stomach tightens. They described the moment they realized they were walking in the wrong direction, and how they tried to act casual while asking a stranger for help. The table softened. People leaned in, not because of the plot, because of the honesty. We all know that small panic. We all know the desire to look composed while we are not. That is the first inner rule I follow. A charismatic story is not a highlight. It is a moment of being human that still ends with you standing. When I say standing, I mean you do not collapse into the story. You do not use it to dump your feelings on the room. You let people feel something. Then you give them a handle. A lesson. A shift. A choice you made. It can be tiny. I stopped pretending I knew. I asked the question. I noticed I was rushing. I slowed down. I realized I was trying to win. I tried to understand instead. That is the part that makes people feel safe with you. You are showing emotional control, not emotional chaos. A lot of people fear storytelling because they think it is performance. They picture a spotlight. They picture being judged on humor or drama. But good storytelling in real life is closer to a calm confession. It is you saying, "Here is a moment that explains why I see it this way." You are not demanding attention. You are offering context, and context is persuasive. If I tell you I am big on clear boundaries, that is a claim. People will test it. They will wonder if it is real. If I tell you about the time I said yes to a project when my schedule was already full, and how I started resenting everyone while smiling, and how it leaked out in little sharp comments, now you understand why boundaries matter to me. You are not being lectured. You are being invited into a memory. Your brain does not argue with a memory the same way it argues with advice. That is another thing happening under the surface. People are tired of being sold to. They are tired of being corrected. A story bypasses that defensive wall because it does not push. It pulls. It creates curiosity. Curiosity is a warm emotion. It makes people generous. Charisma is also body language, and storytelling gives your body something natural to do. When people are nervous, they freeze or they fidget. Their hands become a problem to solve. Their eyes dart around looking for approval. A story anchors you. You can look at one person for a sentence, then another. You can let your hands move only when they help the image. You can slow down at the important part. You can breathe. You are not trying to fill every silence. You are guiding. I want you to notice something. The most magnetic storytellers do not rush to the punchline. They respect the moment before the moment. They let you feel the setup, the ordinary detail that makes it real. The smell of rain on a jacket, the buzzing fluorescent light in a hallway, the weight of a phone in your hand when you are waiting for a reply. Those details do not make you fancy. They make you believable. Believable is more charismatic than impressive. Think about a relationship conversation. The kind where you are trying to explain something sensitive, like why you felt hurt or why you pulled away. If you come in with conclusions, you sound like a prosecutor. You did this. You made me feel that. Here is the verdict. Even if you are right, the other person feels cornered. They start defending their identity. They stop listening for your heart. A story changes the shape of the conversation. You can describe a moment instead of a judgment. The second you saw their face change when you brought something up. The quiet in the car after a joke that did not land. The way you stared at the ceiling later and realized you were trying to act fine. Now the other person is not being accused. They are being shown your experience. That invites empathy. It gives them a chance to meet you there. And this is where charisma becomes kindness. You are not using storytelling to dominate. You are using it to connect. There is also a subtle power move in storytelling that most people miss. When you tell a story with calm control, you are demonstrating that you can handle attention. You are showing that you do not panic when eyes turn toward you. You do not scramble for approval. You can hold the room without squeezing it. That is rare. People feel it in their nervous system. They relax because you are steady. But steadiness does not mean being flat. It means you choose the emotional color on purpose. If I am telling a story about a mistake, I let myself look at the mistake without flinching. I let a little embarrassment show, but not so much that people feel they need to rescue me. If I am telling a story about conflict, I keep the other person human. I do not make them a villain. The moment you villainize, the room gets tense. People wonder if you will do that to them one day. Charisma drops. When I tell it with fairness, people feel my integrity. They trust my perspective. I learned this the hard way. I used to tell stories where I was always the reasonable one and the other person was always impossible. People would laugh politely, then they would change the subject. I could feel the distance. Later, I realized what they were hearing. They were not hearing my humor. They were hearing my need to be right. That is not magnetic. That is exhausting. So now when I tell a story, I look for the part where I was also blind, the part where I assumed, the part where I wanted control. I do not confess it like a sin. I just include it like a fact. That one detail makes people lean in because it signals self awareness. Self awareness is rare, and rare things draw attention. At a party, someone might ask what you do. Most people answer with a label and then wait. The label creates a wall. It puts you in a box. It also invites comparison. Instead, I like to answer with a small story that shows the point of what I do. Not the full biography, just a moment. The kind of moment that lets the other person feel the problem and the relief. The time a quiet person finally spoke up in a meeting because they found one sentence that felt true. The time someone stopped over explaining and watched the room soften. Now the other person is not just hearing your job, they are feeling your value. And if you want to be even more charismatic, you leave space for them to step into it. You do not flood them with details. You pause after the key moment and let their face respond. You let them ask. That pause is a form of respect. It says, I'm not performing at you. I am with you. People think charisma is taking the floor. A lot of the time, it is knowing when to give it back. Storytelling also helps you handle social pressure. When someone challenges you, or when the room feels skeptical, facts can turn into a fight. A story can turn into a shared reality. If you say, you are wrong, they defend. If you say, here is what happened when I tried it that way, they listen. You are not attacking their identity. You are offering information wrapped in experience. Experience is harder to argue with. It is also easier to remember. And remember, charisma is what people feel about you after you leave. Stories stick to the mind.